Hello everyone, and welcome to another Dwarven Tavern video. I am Dr. Jeff Collins, and we have with us...
I am Lear Goins.
And I'm Ian Goins.
And today we are going to be talking about a subject that, well, it depends on your play style, and it depends on whether or not you like wizards and sorcerers.
And rangers.
And druids even, actually. And that is...
And druids even.
The even druids exit stage woods. Is the concept of animal companions and familiars. And the whole concept is, it goes back, it's a literary device. Actually, one of my favorite stories of animal companions was the Death Dealer series, with a character that the author James Silk wrote about. And I rarely mention authors because I like for the work to stand on their own, but I like his work, and as far as I don't know if he did anything else, so he can't stand on his laurels, because his laurels is all there are of them. And it's a weird concept, but it's James Silk and the very, very popular Frank Frazetta, who did the Death Dealer. I think it was acrylics or oils. He did the painting called The Death Dealer. We'll put that up so you can see the Death Dealer. And the series was, it was called The Death Dealer.
Oh, wow. I would have never guessed.
Wow. It was brilliant. And the character's name was Gath of Baal. And Gath was a prisoner of the Horned Helmet.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he had a big war horse, and he had a wolf that traveled with him. And they just bonded. And that would be very similar to a ranger. A ranger's bond with his animals.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Not a wizard, though.
No, not a wizard. But a wizard's familiar is an entirely different thing, and it came from an entirely different place. In the early ages, and I may be entirely wrong, but this is what I know. This is my wiki.
Which is wrong.
Witches.
Which is wrong.
Which is evil.
Which is evil.
Is that when a witch made, and this goes back to the early days of Christendom and the witch hunts and so forth. And when a witch made a pact with Satan, he sent an overseer, which was a demon in the form of an animal.
No, like a black cat.
Yeah, it could have been a black cat, could have been a toad, could have been a bat.
Could have been a three-legged dog.
Could have been a three-legged dog, etc., etc. And when the witch made this pact, she would often grow a third nipple, from which the demon could suckle in its animal form to gain sustenance from her life essence. And
that's so weird.
That's the thing. Okay, well, in reality, and in the real world, and in this modern day of science and reason,
that's silly.
and the lack of ignorance, we know that a person can grow a nipple anywhere in their milk tract, which is anywhere from the groin up the sides up to where the actual nipples are and close to the neck. Anybody can spontaneously grow or have one or more extra nipples. Look at dogs, look at cats, pigs, cows, etc.
Pretty much any other mammal.
Yeah, and they have nipples all over the place. Nipples. So, that third nipple and, wicked controlling men and all that stuff, they came up with these things.
Yep.
But we digress.
We digress entirely because the...
No, we just digressed. We had no part of it.
Yeah, I digress.
We did not filter that at all.
In the games that we play, the familiar follows a far different path, which it also goes into holding that The gaming is not evil. It's not Satan worship. You know, it's just a game. We know the difference, right? So, how do you play familiars?
Well, first of all, I would like to distinguish the difference between a familiar and an animal companion for those who don't know. I feel like you would be the best to illustrate the differences for our audience. So before I tackle this, please illustrate what a familiar is and what an animal companion is. They're pretty much the same
He's been
thing.
doing for the past 5 minutes.
Well, I'm saying there's a difference between familiars and animal companions.
Yeah.
So,
Well, an animal companion is it's a natural bond.
Normally a dog.
It's a dog. It's a natural bond.
Yep.
That is it's a mutual bond where the animal is as attracted to their person, their human, their ranger, druid, whatever.
Yeah.
They come there of their own free will, and it's a natural bond. It's the bond between, you know, man and dog, and Egyptian and cat, and it's a very natural and mutual kind of agreement where they take care of each other. It's exciting, isn't it?
yeah,
I know,
it's
right?
super exciting.
And so that's entirely not the case in the case of familiars, because familiars, the wizard, the magic user, harkening back to the first edition, the magic user, which applies to sorcerers and wizards and druids, etc.,
The wizard and the soccerer.
and the sorcerer.
We're gonna have to put subtitles on whenever you speak, because when you said wizard earlier, I'm like,
Wizard. What the heck? So, the sorcerer, wizard, magic user, etc., casts a spell, and the magic of that spell goes out into the universe and summons a familiar, and this is something that is assigned to them from the ether in order to have, and there is quite a supernatural bond, because the wizard can, the magic user can see through the familiar's eyes, can communicate with it telepathically,
just trip over your tongue.
Blah. And when the familiar dies, the wizard loses permanent hit points. Every time the wizard loses a familiar, they lose that familiar's worth of hit points. And there are some rules that even suggest that the wizard may lose a level, or I mean, it's almost like a homunculus in which, you know, the wizard takes a chunk of themselves and forges a bunny. Or
Bunny.
I thought you were gonna say banana.
a banana for
A
scale.
living banana. Like the
It
liver.
raises up the people.
It opens up and
So that's
sticks in
what
thing.
the liver was. I mean, this is from a previous video where he says, "Go, Sparky, the liver."
Oh, Sparky.
It was a malformed animal. It was a malformed familiar
Yeah.
that had not fully
That's
detached.
totally a homunculus. I couldn't say it, man.
Well, I can take it from there and say something about how to use animal companions in game, how they can be beneficial to your character and to your fellow companions, and I can whenever I have.
Yeah.
Whenever I have an animal companion, they tend to fall into the background. But that's also because the character that I was using was a secondary character. I wasn't focusing on him. I had
So you had a tertiary animal companion.
yeah, and that was it.
Or do we in the back?
It kind of took away from the experience of having an animal companion, but at the same
Like,
time, it was
for
very
me,
beneficial for some battles.
My sorcerer of silence, he's got an animal companion, and it's a snake.
Yeah.
And you never see it because it's pointless.
Well,
Because, my magic missile, one magic missile can do more damage than my snake shoved up somebody's nose.
Point. Get him, Sparky!
Snork.
What I was
And that
gonna,
wouldn't even do a D4, so.
It would
What I was
distract
gonna
the
bring
holy hell out
Oh
of
man,
him.
it would kill my snake.
Maybe.
no, it wouldn't. I've seen snakes go through the sinus passage.
Not if I forcefully.
No, I was gonna bring up Lobo. Lobo has a wolf named Inoue, and
It sounds
Inoue.
like a really stereotypical name for some reason. I don't know why.
but it's not at
It's like
all.
Inoue sounds like what you would hear in a stereotypical Weeaboo anime.
Well, Inoue is spelled with a Z at the end, so
Inoue.
it's INNUEZ or something like that. But anyway,
Anyway,
Inoue.
but anyway.
Anyway, he's kind of fallen out of the game almost,
Yeah.
as the character has become more powerful. But for the beginning of the campaign, he was ripping people's throats out right and left,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he actually saved my character's
An
life
animal
several
companion
times.
early on is amazingly useful.
That's absolutely true.
So when it comes to later on in the game, that's when it actually becomes a more difficult thing for everyone to keep track of. Like even the player and the DM, they keep forgetting that that character has another character attached to it.
Well, when you've got a character like a ranger, and you know when they hit second level, if they take an archery and 3.5, they get rapid shot. And if they've got a bow that lets them use their strength bonus and their dexterity bonus, then you've got a character that can easily pump out retarded amounts of damage.
It was ice.
Yeah. They just pump out ridiculous amounts of damage. And then what can the dog do?
Well,
the dog
I
doesn't even get a
also
bonus
think-
to hit. They don't get a base attack bonus.
It actually just made me think that
Some do.
maybe when it comes to having a familiar or an animal companion, if you have a character who has one, then perhaps it's best to have that character play as a solo campaign so they can get the feel of taking care of two characters at once.
A campaign with a large party and an animal companion,
It gets out of hand.
all that serves, in my opinion, all that does is just make that character's take longer.
Yeah.
That character's turn, because
Or that player's turn.
we played a campaign last night where it was a brand new character concept. We'll be talking about that in another video. But the first thing our first level characters run into was a hill giant. A freaking hill giant.
And we killed it.
We pummeled it into the ground.
But I'm
Yeah.
still giving you that look.
We annihilated it. It's like an animal companion would have just died. It wouldn't have been able to, number one, hit armor class 20. It would have to roll ridiculously high, because most of the time, animal companions are like a snake.
So are you
And
saying
they're
that animal companions aren't really necessary to game?
They don't
But-
feel like they're useful enough. Like you can't, even though, it's not that they're not useful, because an extra D8 of damage from a wolf that can do a trip attack if it makes a successful grapple, and you can channel spells through that thing. It's like, say you get locked up in a dungeon, and the wolf goes out, you channel a knock spell through there, and you just open up the door for somebody else so they can open up your door. So you can, do two birds with one stone by unlocking something through your wolf. That's cool!
So it would be 2 doors with 1 wolf.
2 doors with one wolf, yeah. It's like that's really cool. Being able to channel a spell. Could you imagine a wolf running up and breathing magic missiles at the
He just opens up his mouth.
Yeah, it's like you could put burning hands in your wolf. Your wolf runs up and goes,
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
that's awesome! And I don't do that. I don't make my tiny little snake breathe fire.
Actually, there has been several times where silence is in the campaign with Baruch. So there's been several times when you've threatened me with your animal companion or your familiar.
A tiny cobra.
See, that's the difference between his snake and my wolf. Is that my wolf
Yeah,
is an
I've got-
animal companion, his is a familiar.
I think it's a 5-foot long king cobra. So very, very poisonous, useless in combat. Completely useless. Unless, I'm a wizard, so I can't really make it enormous right away. So
Which brings up the thought, the notion that animals should go up in level with their people.
I agree.
Because
Well, actually, in the player's handbook, it does say that they do get more hit dice.
that's right. And the reason being is that not all damage you take to your hit dice, to your hit points, is actual physical damage. There are several books, including the Star Wars role-playing game. The D20, it's not an actual D20 game, it's based on D20, but the Star Wars game suggests that vitality and it's vitality, and then it goes against your constitution.
Yeah.
So
yeah, wears you down and then starts doing permanent damage.
Then it starts doing permanent damage. So you might take 10 points of damage, but it's just like a really close call, like something swings past you.
Yeah.
And
Or
that does-
it's that damage. You know when you see a really tough character and somebody hits them really hard and they go, "Huh," boom, and just annihilate them? That hit his vitality. Did no damage, but took down how much damage he's going to be able to take. So, and that vitality is
Yeah, 'cause
basically,
if you
it's
do
like,
that
it's like a
enough-
buffer before you start taking permanent damage.
Right, and
So it's like a
if-
shield in video games.
Basically.
Kinda,
It's basically a shield.
so
I'm
if-
thinking of Mass Effect 4.
Yeah,
in
that's
this
about-
instance.
Yeah, and if that's the
vitality.
case, then your animal can have as many hit points as you, if not more, and they would be dodging and ducking and weaving at the same time as your character taking hit points of damage, and they they would not be taking, because a German Shepherd is tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough freaking dog.
Yeah.
A wolf would be even tougher.
One could argue that, a base familiar should have more hit points.
Well, it depends on what the
than-
familiar is. of
Well,
course.
a D4 hit die character with a full-grown wolf, which is bigger than a German Shepherd, that should easily have more hit points. And most of the time they don't,
Yeah.
which is really depressing.
But see, the thing of it is, though, is that the original purpose for the wizard's familiar was as a messenger.
Pretty much, yeah. It wasn't really...
Demon.
It wasn't really supposed to be, because, for me, when I think of familiar, I think of a certain Disney movie with a giant flaming cobra.
You're saying familiar.
Familiar?
Familiar.
Yeah, I think
Your familiar
I
goes
think
away
of
It's
all
a
the time.
friend familiar.
Familiar in the
but yeah.
friends.
Like when I think of strong familiar, I think of a Disney movie with a giant cobra that got stabbed outside a castle. That is a powerful familiar to me. That's what it should look like.
Yeah.
Something that you can ride into combat and be casting spells from the top of while it's destroying the nearby city.
While the animal companion is literally all the Disney princesses with their friends.
Yeah, and Aladdin comes to mind with the Princess Jasmine and her tiger.
Yeah, that's a standard familiar.
Oh, and
Not very useful.
Well, Iago was a familiar.
Also the monkey.
and
Abu?
the horse.
Abu was an animal companion.
The
we
horse-
could get seriously.
Yeah, he was.
We could
He
get
totally
seriously
was.
into
The horse
this.
and Rapunzel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Although
an
he was
animal
more.
He was awakened. He was totally
He was
enlightened.
sentient.
companion. He
being.
was a high level animal companion. They do get
Yeah.
high intelligence. at one point.
Cinderella.
And all her mice.
And all her mice. Those are all animal companions. But how do you do that?
Well, she's
Like that's actually a really good point.
Number of hit dice.
I believe you should be able to have multiple animal companions. It's it's like
fly, my pretty.
The winged monkeys.
the winged monster.
Snow White's forest.
the entire
The
forest.
entire
forest. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think if
I think
you're-
that could be a charisma-based thing.
it could be like
If you have extremely high charisma,
what
you
I
can
think
gain
what I think it
multiple
should be
animal companions.
is you have to basically like straight like Pokemon. You engage the animal, you get it to where a point you can tame it, and then you get it, and then it starts leveling up with you. So basically, your animals get a certain amount of bonuses, like they get extra hit dice at level 1, they get intelligence at level like 5 or whatever, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. That's
But
an example.
but familiars in the first of it, they have very few hit points and
so the
very
characters.
yeah, because they were meant to take a message to this person
Yeah.
or that person.
But I'm kind of in the same boat as basically everybody else who doesn't believe the wolf is the messenger because he does more damage at close range. He can trip. He's got more hit
if
points.
the
He's
wolf
faster.
if the wolf was not the messenger, no one would ever know that Jimmy and Tommy were in the well.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
but
going to break in here.
Then he went over to
No.
the Three Little Pigs' house and just wrecked their day.
No, I'm going to break in here and
Because
say
the pigs
that
pushed Jimmy and Tommy in the well.
Why, stupid pigs?
I'm going to break in here and say that some mythologies actually have animal companions, animal beings that have gained
Human and
sentience, where they act as messengers, like wolves, or not wolves, but foxes.
Yeah.
We said wolves so many times it just came out automatically, but I was thinking foxes.
Wolves.
But foxes are. They're usually interpreted as messengers, if not sentient beings of their own. And I can think of several different mythologies and several different cartoons where foxes are used as messengers and gatherers of information.
Okay,
So
here's another question.
Yeah.
If a wizard goes to the trouble of having a familiar, should said wizard be penalized for not using him, XP wise, or?
I don't think so, because most of the time, from my experience, there's no reason to use your familiar because number one, it would die. It's like,
So
okay,
why
say,
even get it?
Say your party gets. I'm about to get to that.
I don't know.
No, I wasn't. I was gonna. Anyways, say you have. We'll go with the wolf since that's the one. That's the wooga wooga wolf because that's probably the most used and overused and overhyped companion ever.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay.
I'm not saying wolf isn't awesome.
no,
It's
no.
just super hyped.
The whole reason I got it
No,
anyway
there-
was because he could ride him as a horse.
Well, yeah.
That's not.
I'm not gonna ride my cobra away.
He's like, oh, I'm getting sick.
This is the remnant time of victory incarnate.
And the cobra's like, I hate this man.
Away.
Well, this is right before Buduk killed the boa constrictor. He's like, you see this? See this? I'm coming for you.
But
that wasn't poisonous.
there was a person who had a wolf who just in the campaign actually Taverneer Yo Mama she actually killed that person's wolf because that person was an idiot with said wolf. And he charge. And
Oh, that reminds me of Charge, Sparky.
And then there was another guy who had a crow,
Which is what I was talking
a
about.
raven, and he threw it at an orc, and the orc went, "Bat!
I was like, you killed my
You
raven.
killed my raven!" It's like, I did not kill your raven. The orc killed your raven.
Because you threw
So
it.
you have to know how to
And
properly.
the orc was like,
So what we're trying to get at is for your animal companions and your familiars. You can just ignore these guys. For your animal companions and your familiars, you just need to learn how to properly play with them. You need to learn. I think this should actually be even before you get into game. You need to draw up the backstory and how not only how these guys have met, but also how they work together. And you need to know how to balance your character and their familiar or animal companion, depending on what you're playing. And I mean, that's the whole thing that we're trying to say, is that the whole reason that they're either forgotten or they're not used or they're just abandoned is because the person who has them does not know how to use them.
Right.
So I think that if you're thinking about using an animal companion or you're, experimenting, you're playing a ranger who has one and blah, 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 then you should look into how to play it well. And I think the best way to do that is to follow examples in media and culture and stuff like that. And I can't really think of any, fanciful videos or, Lord of the Rings or anything like that where they had, you heard me, where they had an animal companion.
Now we're judging you.
I mean, Bill. Goodbye, Bill. That was a moment where he was letting go his animal companion for me. But that's the only thing that I can think of.
Well, my first edition character, my very first character, Saga, had a pair of
The dogs.
mastiff
Yeah, I
hounds
remember
named
that
Julius and Baron. And he kept them until he turned 9th level, and then he retired them to a kennel where they sired many a great line of guard dogs.
Oh.
Which is really cool. Probably the best way for an animal companion to go, because at 9th level, it's surprising they were still alive.
Yeah.
Because dogs don't level up. And I think your animal companion should level up, because I can't There are so many great stories of, a guy with his animal. It's like, how many Mountain Man stories have you heard where the guy's got his dog, and his dog went out and killed a bear by itself and brought it back, and it's like the guy actually gets beaten, and then his dog defends him.
Yeah.
You cannot do that in D&D unless you get really lucky and that thing's on really low health, because your dog is never going to have enough hit points or damage, or it's just going to get completely just what's the right term for it?
Mutilated?
No, not mutilated. The
Wrecked.
everything else ramps up in power so quickly, and the animals don't. So power creep, basically, I guess would be the term for it, really. Because the creep just keeps going, and the animal companions never get any stronger. So I think either you should be able to have a lot of them and get them over time, or train them. That would be cool if your character could actually do something every couple levels that made them stronger. Like you could give them an ability or increase their hit dice or something, or if they ever got more than 2 attacks, that would be a thing.